The rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kids traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
All right. Shalom. Salama. Siemi. Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you are a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. This is the morning that Yahuwah has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And I have to constantly, daily remind myself that the Most High is working. He's working for our good. He's working for our benefit. We may not see him working, but he's working. He's there. He's able. And he's doing. Last week, this time, we were discussing the Pope and what the Pope was doing to recognize the church, the Roman Catholic Church, as the main initiate, the authorizer, the approver, under the guise of quote unquote Christianity that led to the world's greatest enslavement campaign, which is what we, many of us in this viewing community, listening community, streaming community, are descendants of those victims. And I say, yes, they're victims. We're their survivors. And that victim, being a victim, you carry trauma. And carrying trauma, you have the trauma displayed in one form or fashion, and it's called a generational curse. And that generational curse, I would argue, is something that they know of, they understand, and that's what they perpetuate. And they show us every single day. And how we conduct ourselves and how we think about things and how we think about actions. Can you really do it? Can it really be done? Can. We go through a mechanism of self-doubt. The other communities, although they'll have some varying degrees of it, I don't think that if you were to quantify, that means put things into numbers and see what that look like, and you say on a scale of 1 to 10, do your emotions play a big role in this, or this? I would argue that our emotions actually do. For most descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. We've gone through a period of time where we've been told one thing and the complete different reality happens. Yeah, we're going to get this. Yeah, we're going to get that. Oh, it didn't pan out. Oh, it didn't. Oh, it didn't. Oh, it didn't. It didn't. It didn't. The bottom line is this. We have been used to things not panning out for us. for a while. We have been used to and accustomed with our planning not necessarily going to plan as we would like to have had it, as we had hoped for, as we had designed for. We get it. We okay, well, we tried. The only thing you could do was try, right? We say that, we do that, we come up with these ideas, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, how did my idea come into their space? I was the only one talking about it. I was the only one saying this. I was. I'm going to tell you how. Now, back in the day, I was first introduced to the Drudge Report. And don't get it twisted. The Drudge Report is very much right wing. It is very much biased with a lot of anti-black white supremacist mind frames and mindsets. But I do have to laugh because when I tell our people they're listening, that's what they do. They're always listening. They're always listening. They're always trying to get a feel of their victuals. This is from Urban Hollywood 411. NAACP heckled, or official heckled, after calling for black and brown solidarity. This was an article published as of yesterday, May 31st, from Anita Bennett. And you have Phil Scott with the NAACP person. Will he'll be named recently. So this was from the Ohio Black Expo in Columbus, a panel discussion about race and community resilience on May 23rd. African Diaspora News channel founder and CEO Philip Scott led the discussion and welcomed Sean Walton, who was recently named local NAACP president. Moments after Walton started speaking, the conversation took a turn. It goes down here. He's talking about Columbus and that black people don't have a voice in those rooms where decisions about the city are made. It suggested that black and brown communities show solidarity to boost political power. We'll never have the numbers, but what we can have is that solidarity. We should all be able to eat and flourish, to be able to be happy in this city. He wants to basically say, be happy in the oppression of, be happy with the crumbs. Phil Scott says, basically, solidarity with whom? Who need, can you describe who we need to be in solidarity with? Said Scott, he says, for me, that's black and brown people throughout the city, Walton replied. And then the crowd basically erupted. And Scott basically rebuffed and said, if you go back to the 2024 election, black people that did vote showed up and voted for Vice President Kamala Harris. The brown community who actually had more to lose, they voted with Trump, said Scott. Now, exactly. But that makes sense. The NAACP is a plan. Based in UK, and I know that they are working as an obstruction. It was set up by them folks, and that is actually the history of the NAACP. Charles says, yeah, that's really funny. We should know better by now. And the thing is that we do. And the reality is, I'm bringing you this article because this article is on the Drudge Report. The Drudge Report, again, is very, very much right leaning in its constructs. And I wanted to illustrate how they continue to see and to view us as those victuals. I want you to understand, even though they may try to quote unquote say they ignore. I don't know what's happening in the black community. I don't know what's happening in the African, right? They try to indemnify themselves. They try to shield themselves. No, they know exactly what's happening. They know why they're here. One of the things that I did not cover from last week when I was talking about the Pope. One of the things that I didn't get a chance to illustrate was this. Our awakening, which is our return back. I really want to say, and I really want to preface that it's not necessarily an awakening so much. It is, but it's a returning back to the Most High through His Son Yahushua HaMashiach. It's the ability to come out of a system while you're still within a system, because you have to understand that we're still in a land where we are subjected to a people that is stronger than us. And I didn't say it, the Most High did. I want to start here because I want to take my time. We're now in the summer months. And this was some of the word I was reading, because in my spirit I said, well, Father, why, how, what is, why do? Because in everything that we do, especially right now, the Most High has given us jobs, titles, responsibilities. It may seem small, it may seem big. It's what the Most High believes or has preordained, pre-fashioned for us as we have this walk in this time that our captivity is turning. And it's not just Jeremiah, there's other prophets that have stated, our disposition and how we will then be coming again as a people in a time where you're having some of the biggest resets ever. And yes, this place is in a global stage of a reset. We're just seeing the operational and tactical components because for years, when we were looking at the whole thing with Russia and China, they were talking about Russia and China, especially Russia, and Russia needing to get off the sanctions list by doing X, Y, and Z and all this other stuff. Well, what do you mean? How are they doing that? They drew in all of their forces with NATO. They were arming Ukraine through Poland. And basically, they were surrounding Russia, and Russia had retaliated. They responded. They responded with drills. They had a buildup of drills back in November, December timeframe. Putin went over to Xi at the end of the Beijing Olympics, and then within 48 hours later, Russia had invaded Ukraine. We're going through the same exact scenarios. Because what is happening is we're going through a period of a law and as that law period has been ending or has ended, now this is really the coldest game. And I was thinking about this a couple of minutes before I came on. I said, that is the coldest trick ever. It's the coldest trick ever to have you feel, to have people lulled in such a manner that they're literally in a war without making it feel like you're in a war. That's some very cold psychological mind tricks, ninjutsu, however you want to call it. But I wanted to revisit this because again, as I had stated last week, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Ghana comes on out with an announcement. And I'm going to say this, they did not. And to me, that's okay. Because if you've noticed, a lot of what they're doing is in the shadows. You can't have the audience find out what's happening. And for the most part, by and large, in our particular disposition, It's not necessarily in this context in terms of what Ghana is doing and the African Union's doing. In that context, it's don't have the people get caught up and shaken up because they're continuing to monitor and to watch and to try to figure on out. See, I would say this in my thought process on this thing. They see what's happening, they see what's occurring. But if they were to tell you that it's happening or that it's occurring or that they are looking to us to try to figure on out the next move that their overlords, which is what it is, and they're seeing it now, that their overlords are conducting, they can't say that because what that inherently does, it gives us a power and control mechanism that they do not feel comfortable with ceding. Do you see that? Hey, I know what's going on. You know what's going on. You see what's going on. You've talked about it. We're listening. We're understanding to a degree. And now we're more of the conduit of understanding how this thing is playing out because they're not going to get it from any of the churches. They're not going to understand. They're not going to get it from their government leaders. Has any government, and I asked that question, I said, did anybody here in the United States even respond to what the Pope said? They didn't. None that I could actually recall. There was no response. There was no rebuttals. There was none of that. They saw it and they couldn't respond. They looked at it and they couldn't do anything. It was off to the UFC events and the MAGA concert now rally because everybody canceled. To a peace deal that's not a peace deal because we're blowing up ships that are laying mines, quote unquote. This was always going to be the case. We told you. When they saw the end coming, they were not going to say anything. People were saying, no, they're going to do this. No, they're not. They're now so distracted. Trump gave a light. I disagree. Well, if he did, it was very light. It was very light. And by and large, you didn't see any media outlets go in depth with this. You didn't see any YouTube channels really, in terms of the mainstream, cover that. It was swept under the rug. It was, hey, we have another peace deal. At the same time, gas prices are coming down because they're really draining the strategic oil reserves, probably like nothing you've seen in history. That has been acknowledged by most folks. And I lost my train of thought. But the ASAP threw me off. The lack of reporting does show one thing. Exactly. You're bringing that up, Cynthia. Cynthia. Trump was just talking about the Pope a month ago or so pretty heavily. And he was. Remember that AI video and or excuse me, photo? I do have to say, yeah, those shadowy demons, what they were, the silhouette. But don't worry. Shout out to Sister Gates of Holder. For those that survive all of the coming judgments, well, guess what? They have a digital concentration camp. And it was funny when I saw that the Caucasian lady say that. And I'm laughing because I'm like, this is all the stuff that we've talked about. They know, they understand, they see what's coming, but yet they want to plead ignorance on it. They're not going to be allowed to. They understand this with all their think tanks. They understand this with all of their people in the background. I'm sure they're panicking. Why? You saw what? Peter Thiel left. They said he ran to Argentina. Why? Because they know that the end is coming. People say the end, the end. Well, this is again a couple of days ago from Business Insider. Peter Thiel's move to Argentina reflects a growing trend among billionaires seeking a plan B abroad. And this is from Madeline Berg and Ben Shimkus. Peter Thiel appears to have found a new bug out spot. He is alone and looking beyond America's shores. PayPal and Palantir's co founder and prominent libertarian has been spending more time in Argentina, the New York Times reported, where he has enrolled his children in school and bought a home in one of Buenos Aires' wealthiest neighborhoods. Why Argentina? Because Argentina is actually one of your most, it has been proven statistically, historically, it is actually your most racist, anti-black countries in the world. It's been proven. Pastor Rick Fletcher, you said it. Argentina isn't that the place where the 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 NZIs go to retire? Just asking. That's exactly. I look at that and I say, well, why are they doing that? To me, their game of manipulation may be ending sooner than later. And I always, my thought process was always this: what a great way to go out in a bang is that when you invite all of the world to see you go out with a bang, other than the World Cup. You have all the teams there in the World Cup. There, some would say teams. I would actually argue potentially hostages. Hey, if you're going down, you're going to go down gloriously. You're going to break every type of international norm and rules on out there. You want all of your soccer players, you want this, you want that. Well, we don't know. We can't trust them because, a couple of folks will be demonstrating and having an anti American slogan, and they'll say that's not allowed in this country. Just my thoughts. We'll see how it transpires. What a great argument for trying to pose the, well, we had to go on in because if we didn't go on in, then it would have been this and that, and it would have been really bad, and we had intel that Iran was planning something. We had intel that Iranian forces. Do you see how that goes? Too too convenient for me. I'm speculating that that more than likely may be the case. Going here, Jeremiah 30. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah saying, thus speaketh Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith Yahuwah, and I will cause them to return to what? To return to the land that I gave to their forefathers, and they shall possess it. So he's causing his people to return. So is there any wonder why there's a process? Shout out to Pastor Rick Fletcher. A thought, an occasion. Look, there's momentum in our returning. But when people said that a couple years ago, why are you going to do Africa? Why is this and that? Why are you? There's a video. Shout out to Brother Asaph that he had sent me, and one of the commentators, he was a brother, I think from out of Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. And he was basically it's I laugh at this. It's at a fever pitch when our brothers and sisters on the continent are saying, yes, you understand that the Caucasians, they know that they're in a bad spot. But even for the African Americans, at least for the African Americans, they know that they could come back home. He said it. He said they at least they know They have options. At least they know. Here it is. I'm gonna copy this so you all see. It was from African Streamline, and he even puts it on in there. He puts it on in there as his title. He said Professor Jane confirms black prophecy and extremely scares Trump. America's fall. I have that there in the chat. That I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah, saith Yahuwah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their ancestors, and they shall possess it. Because why? Because it's not a possession. They may live on it, but it's not a possession. They may say, "Hey, we've done things with it." They haven't been able to do things with it. They got them. The code noirs have let folks know you could be in a francophone or an anglophone speaking country. They still operate in the same manners. Well, we live here. We live on the soil. Do you have resources? Nope. Can you do or build or have anything you want? Nope. You're at the borders. You're just occupying space. And they've known that. Now they've realized it. Now they're speaking up and now they're saying something. And these are the words that Yahuwah spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus said Yahuwah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. What have they been saying? Oh, it's peace. We got a peace deal. Why? Because we're in our captivity, and our captors are saying, "We got peace. Look, look. It's just going to turn around. Look at the look. Right? Look. Look where? Look there. No, there. I mean, no, there. Ask ye now. This is Jeremiah 30:6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Not of peace. People are scared. They're worrying. They're trying to figure this thing on out. We're in our captivity. It showed it. This is what's happening in our captivity. They're scared, but they're not going to tell you they're scared. Or you think they're going to tell you they're scared? No. Their faces turn into paleness. Why? Because they're scared. They're long. Jeremiah 30:8. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahuwah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Oh, wait a second. Let me go back to wait. Let's go back to this. Peter Thiel running to Argentina. The prominent libertarian has been spending more time in Argentina. Why? Because among the ultra rich, that fits a pattern. The rich are treating their lives in America like a part of an investment portfolio, still worth betting on, but increasingly in need of a hedge. What does that mean? They can't trust the system. And they're scared. And guess what? You know, when the technocracy gets scared, there are underlings that have to try to figure this thing on out, and they're scared too. So then the underlings get scared, and then those folks under the underlings get scared because they're seeing what's happening. Do you see how this pattern goes? The stock market's cooking up. Oh, well, buy, 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 because why? This is part of the technocracy. They know that they are not allowed to serve themselves of us, i.e., they're not going to be able to make money, profit. They're not going to be able to do what they want to do. Do you see that has happened right now? Black people, I need you to fight for America. Only America could come back. You can save this. Nope. We're getting this yoke from off of our necks, and we're bursting our bonds that the Most High is bursting. Read the scriptures. But they shall serve Yahuwah their Elohim and David their king. Who is that? Yahusha. Whom I will raise up to them, unto them. I'm just saying, for all those that say, New Testament, Old Testament, it's Old Testament. It's talking about Yahusha right there. I'm just saying, but let's continue. Jeremiah 30 and 10. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahuwah, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar. Who is he talking about? Judah. I will save thee from afar and thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Why? Because we're all going back. We're coming back to the place where we were first scattered. We're coming back to join our brothers and sisters. We're making a perpetual covenant, and we're going back to the land that our forefathers were given. That's how the Most High works. That's how he continues to work. Because his word never comes back void. And Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Why? Because the whole world will be in turbulence. Except for us. We're good. We're good over here. But can you help us? No, we can't. We have to rest. We have to heal. We have to come together as a family, as a nation. This is what they're so afraid of. Jeremiah 30 and 11. For I am with thee, saith Yahuwah, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. What? This is what they're afraid of. Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. Yet I will not make a full end of thee. but I will correct thee in measure and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. So when it feels like we're being punished, why are we being punished for this? I don't know what we did to be punished for this. I don't know. What are we being punished for? Well, did you read Jeremiah 30 and 11? Yes, we're being punished. But in our punishment, it's not that we can't be blessed in our punishment. Oh, we're being blessed. But our blessings aren't the way that they believe it should be. Oh, well, if you're blessed, you should have this. If you're blessed, you should have that. If you're blessed, what do they always do? They always prescribe what a blessing should look like. Well, you need to have all the money in the world. That means you're blessed. You need to have all this and that. That means you're blessed. They will say, I'm blessed with all the oil in Venezuela. Huh? It's a blessing that we got all the oil in Venezuela. It's a blessing that you stole stuff. Yes. Yes, it's a blessing. That's how they look at it. But you want to know what they're doing? They're scared. These ultra rich, ultra wealthy are scared because their kingdom is falling apart. Remember, I said, don't look at what they say, look at what they're doing. They're going because their kingdom is falling apart. For thus saith Yahuwah, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to please thy cause that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity. Because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee. We have been punished. We are being punished. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. Wait a second. Oh, they don't like this scripture. Oh, therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. Why do you think everything is so great upon us? Finances, economy, you name it. The lawfare, the legal fare, you name it. I still thank the Most High that I get up every morning because I get a tremendous beat down just by speaking the truth. And it hurts and it's starting to take a toll on my body. Many of the afflictions of the righteous, but Yahuwah delivered them from them all. Still doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It hurts. But my assurance is that I'm seeing the Most High in action. And that's an awesome thing to behold, to see our Heavenly Father, our Elohim, do what he's doing. But if you're not calling on the name of Yahuwah through Yahushua HaMashiach, then judgment may come for you too. Jeremiah 13:16 continued, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Why do you think they're trying their best to go to war? Why do you think that they're starting all these wars? Why do you think that they're trying to go into all these nations to bring peace and democracy? Could it be that this is the finale for them? See, I think and I always try to make it very practical, pragmatic, that things just don't automatically bam, boom, bow. It's not an automatic. There's mechanisms to this. The war is part of a mechanism. The mechanism is to create global instability. The global instability is to try to reduce the oil so then commercial shipment is reduced. Trade lines are reduced. Logistics are reduced. Because what does that do? That then starts to free up cargo capacity. Have you noticed that they've reduced lights? They have. They're just not going to tell you that they have. Well, if you have to pay for more, we're going to have to reduce flights. Because why? That jet fuel has to be conserved. Therefore, not as many flights are going on out. Not as many flights are going through and having transatlantic flights. Well, now we got to start looking at passports. Now we got to start, reducing people's travel. Now we got to start. Why is that? Because they have to start to put people into one place, reducing movement, so then they can start to administratively divvy up things. Well, I was trying to work overseas. Yeah, you were trying to. Too late. In my opinion, I believe that there will be, just as my opinion, there'll be a time where they'll have a cutoff. When will that time be? Well, I would honestly argue probably right after the World Cup. What a great time to have some Supreme Court rulings be ruled on, all while the world is distracted. What a great time to do that. You don't think that they don't plan these things decades in advance? Yes, they do. At the height of what? Of bread and circuses. At the height of what? Of spectacle. Just saying. Here's what they don't want to see. Jeremiah 30:17. For I will restore health unto thee. I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith Yahuwah, because they called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Wait. I thought that, the other folks that claim to be Zion, they get well before before the tables had turned, they were claiming a title, a mantle. We're the chosen, we're this, we're that. Give us money because we're this, give us status because we're this, give us protection status because we're this, because we're wait, hold on. That doesn't fit anything in prophecy. Do you understand why they're trying to lessen the education system? People are mad because they already know where they're coming. Where are they going to? Either Central Asia, the United States, or Argentina. Those three areas. They've already been apportioned. Why is that? Because when we leave, see, it's not just about the AI overlords. AI is going to be controlled by an actual overlord, and they will have an overlord cast. It's going to be bad for them in less than 5 years. It is going to be really horrible. Did you hear of it? Did you hear the news coming out of the United States? People are going to be asking, wait a second, you still get news from the United States? Huh? You still get news from them? This is Zion whom no man seeketh after. Jeremiah 30:18. Thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be built or builded up upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof, and out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. What? That's the Most High. Yah said it. Jeremiah 30:21. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engaged his heart to approach unto me, saith Yahuwah? And ye shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Have you noticed something here? Their governor, their governor isn't a king. The king is Yahusha. The governor's just authorized. I'm going to tell you this. This is just my thought process, my opinion as I'm reading the word. When we come back, just as the scriptures have said, when we're back in the land of unwalled villages, as we're bringing and building things on back, I believe, just in my humblest opinion, based on what scripture says, I believe that generations, multiple generations after we are back from captivity, will still be under a governorship. Well, see, they really can't be the people because look, because Christ hasn't returned. That's when they'll have an evil thought. So see, that wasn't really Armageddon. We just took a loss because it was just the universe. Because you're gonna reap what you sow, and the universe caused us because we paid for our ancestors' sins because of the universe. Y'all see where this is going? We're coming back. No one's gonna make us afraid, but that's what they'll see. They'll say, "Oh, the guard is still open because see, Yahushua Hamashiach, he should have been here reigning and ruling and reigning forever and ever, right?" And that is their Christian dogma, not seeing what the scriptures are saying. And that Eurocentric dogma, it even does pervade within our communities. It does. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahuwah goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of the Lord of Yahuwah, the fierce anger of Yahuwah shall not return until he hath done it. This is what they're afraid of. This is the anger of Yahuwah. And until he have performed the intents of his heart, in the latter days ye shall consider it. Gentiles, y'all need to start understanding. In the latter days ye shall consider it. Here's another one. This to me, this is a big one. This is Jeremiah 31, 31. Let's start at verse 1. At the same time, said Yahuwah, will I be the Elohim of all the families of Yasharel, and they shall be my people. Thus saith Yahuwah, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahuwah hath appeared of old unto me, saying, yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O Virgin of Israel. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and shalt go forth in the dances of them that make merry. So I laugh at this because for a younger generation, it looks like they're going to be making TikTok videos. And shall go forth in the dances of them that make merry. They're all going to be making their TikTok videos and hallelujah. Look what they did over here. Look what they did over there. Look. Mm. Jeremiah 31:5. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planter shall plant and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchman upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahuwah our Elohim. For thus saith Yahuwah, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Yahuwah, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Here we go. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. For Yahuwah hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. For Yahuwah hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. I just want to take a look at that. Ransomed him. Because these peace deals, these mining ships, I think people tend to underestimate, and I know that they do. Africa is becoming stronger. I know people don't like to hear it. I know people get mad, they get concerned, and all this other stuff. Look, I don't care. Whatever you have, whatever issues you have in your heart, that's between you and the Most High. I'm just letting you know what's happening. I'm just letting you know what's going on. However, you personally take that as an affront to you, okay. But Africa is getting stronger. And the nations are now leaning on Africa because the resources that Africa has, they're no longer able to just grab whatever they want. See, I thought I had explained this the last time. How are the nations going to give us up? How are the nations going to, bring us on back? You know, I and the funny thing is the scripture was always right there. But we couldn't tie it down just yet because we had to let the scripture speak for itself. We had to let the time be redeemed to speak for itself. Now we can start to see now we can start to see that as these nations are in the hurt factory, see, that's let me so I just told a friend of mine that that same thing. She still believes Africa's is a weak third world continent. Well, think about it. Think about it, because the same thing happens even with us. If you were to go on out there and arm yourselves, get yourself a compound, arm yourselves, not disturb anybody, not disturb anything, not disturb anyone, but you just have a lot of ammunition. Because every time you do that ammunition sale, guess what ends up happening? The ATF gets involved, the DEA gets involved, the FBI gets involved. Yeah, you're going through all this. Can I see your ID? And guess what? It doesn't really matter so much with them, but with us, absolutely it does. What are y'all doing on out here? Why do you have so much stuff? They get threatened when they see the armaments. Let's really put our analytical caps on this, because the Most High has actually shown us this. You're not going to directly negotiate with the United States. You've already that's already been established. For Yahuwah hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. So what is the Most High doing? He's getting the other nations together to fight. And we can see this happening right now. Okay, China, you want resources? You know the deal. Okay, Europe, you want resources? You know the deal. Okay, Russia, you want resources? You know the deal. They know the deal. They know, they understand. What's shocking to them is just because you may not have overt physical power doesn't mean that you don't have influence power. And I think people don't realize I think it's like six dynamics of power: inherent, influential. Um, there's some other ones. Let me, six dynamics of power. Yeah. So this is from the social psychologists of John French and Bertram Raven. So let me just give this to you so you know. You have legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, expert power, referent power, and informational power. There's 6 types of power. And this is the 6 dynamics of power, again, from social psychologist John French and Bertram Raven. So, yes. So we have a little bit of reward, referent, and informational power. And what the power that Africa has more so is an expert power because it possesses the unique, not just skills, but resources, metals, minerals, and other materials. So now, in this power dynamic, I believe that we have, and what we see going on, just my opinion, what I believe, you're seeing a situation in which you now have Africa saying that if you don't do this, then you don't have access to resources. It's amazing that we've been seeing that for the last couple of years. It's amazing that we've been seeing this coming out of the Sahel and that it's been now reverberating across the continent. Amazing. Totally amazing. Look how the Most High is working. Oh, you need oil. And yeah, brother Asaph just put that on in there with Dangote. Dangote is one of Africa's largest refiners. And in this conflict, Nigeria has found itself as a major oil player. Oh, Nigeria does happen to be on the west coast of Africa. Oh, and Nigeria does happen to be able to help fill up the refineries over in Europe with minimal global transportation issues on the seas, i.e., it doesn't have to go through the Strait of Hormuz. It doesn't have to go through the Bab el Mandeb, and it doesn't have to go through the Suez Canal. Uh-oh. There you go. That's a power play. And you don't think that they're in the background now dictating measures to European countries? You got to be out your mind. Now, they may not have the I would say military power, but they definitely do have resource power. This thing is about to expand in a colossal way. For Yahuwah hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. What is he doing? The Most High is going to get these other nations to fight for us. I know many can't believe that that's going to happen, and it will happen. And when it does happen, folks are going to be looking crazy. The Most High did that? Yep. He's doing that right now. Do you see how their confidence is being destroyed? Oh, yeah, we're going to have a peace deal. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. No, what's happening is their confidence is being ebbed away. Give it another 2 months and it'll be ebbed away even more and more and more because it's a psychological issue. It's a sociological, to be sociologically disparaged. Well, you really can't go to Europe. You really can't go anywhere else. Where'd you think you're going to run to? You don't have anywhere to run to. Oh, boy. Black folks have places to run to. Yep. Oh, you think you're going to try to run to those places, but yet we caught you online. We caught you on the internet saying, what about Africa? We caught you on the internet saying, what about the African diaspora? We caught you on the internet saying, what about black folks? You posted what? You liked what posts? Oh, do you see? Do you see? AI can play it both ways. You know what? Based off of your AI African bias and negative trends index. I hate to tell you, you are way above our negative trend index of the African diaspora. So, unfortunately, your request to leave the U.S. to go to Africa has been denied. Is there any way I can reduce my index? Here are some of the tips and tricks in this pamphlet right here. How to spot your biases. How to overcome inherent racism that you may or may not know about. You can always come back in a minimum of 6 months. But in 6 months I won't be able to survive. I'm sorry. That's I'm sorry to tell you. But we gotta get people that are in a 90-day queue on out here. But my family, we won't be able to eat. Help us! Ah! Talk about the real crash outs right there. Derek, we can't help you, Derek. Come on, Derek, get yourself off the floor, Derek. Come on. This is unbecoming of you, Derek. This also is in an index. They get you, Derek. They get you, Jill. You get posted. You get your name there. It doesn't help with the algorithm, Derek. Get off the floor, Derek. Get your wife Brenda too. Derek, you and Brenda, you gotta go. We got people in line. But we need to go now. We're not gonna survive. Help us. Derek, under penal code, of the UN, I'm giving you this opportunity to walk away in dignity and respect, or we may have to use some. We may have to escalate this encounter. It's all up to you, Derek. Now we're trying to ask you nicely, as an adult, to leave the facility. Go back to the district that you're assigned to. Derek, we may, because we know this has been a long day, we may put a request for your meal rations to have a dessert. Okay, Derek? You gonna do that? Derek, we will. We will. Okay? We get on out there and, do some great things, do some positive things, and check your inherent racism. Okay? Because even that display right there was that wasn't good for you. That was not a good look. Okay, Derek? All right, Brenda, let's go. They are going to crash out. Yes, Leela. Yes. Yes, they are. They're going to start taking pills to darken their skin so they can escape. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. I would imagine that they probably would. Why, Brenda? Get the kids, Brenda. Let's go. Also, remember, we can still see and understand your brain thoughts and your brain waves with your cranial chip. Can you imagine that captivity? Did you get chipped? When I had first saw that technology, being utilized in animals back in, I think it was like 2008, 2009. Oh yeah, you can make sure that Spike never gets lost. Rin Tin Tin never goes missing. All I could think of was, yeah, they're introducing it to putting in animals right now because somebody is going to be having that in their skin. Have you noticed that? And then as soon as that happened, then it was the rise of the tattoos. And all I could say is, like, when they were trying to really overpopularize tattoos. Oh yeah, tattoo's going to be an industry. Oh, you have it on Bravo, a tattoo thing. Oh, you have it on E, the tattoo and the Ink Master, all this other stuff. And I'm like, that's what they're conditioning. They're conditioning a generation to have all these tattoos. So then those tattoos would then be the mechanisms to then inject whatever control mechanism that they're going to have. No, it's for fashion, it's this and that. No. See, back in the day when you actually understood what a tattoo was inherently used for, the tattoo and the brands and all that other stuff was inherently used to mark property. Control, absolutely, Leela, control. But what they don't understand about tattoos is that tattoos, it gives your demon control. You are inherently yoking yourself to a demonic force, a demonic element. No, that's not true. Okay, then read the Old Testament. markings of your skin. And because they had seared their heart, they seared their conscience. All these tattoos to me demonstrate is that that's the love that you have for Babylon. You've actually yoked yourself to a principality. This to me is not just the beginning of the end, but we're staring at really the end. Because now they know that they've lost control. The empire, we said that the empire was falling, but people didn't want to look at the empire falling. They were just saying, oh, well, it's still this, it's still that, it's still this, it's still that. Don't get it twisted. A lot of our people will still be here, but they're going to be punished here. For those that escaped the sword, man, didn't we just see this? He puts it on out there. Thus saith Yahuwah, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness. Wow. The people that were left of the sword. Wow. I'm, I'm reading the same word. The people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness. So there is a sword coming. How does that ransom go? I believe that the ransom is going to look like what we're seeing right now. You're going to have collapse. And this isn't to scare anyone, but to get you all prepared. Because when that happens, then they can blame and point the finger at everybody else. Don't point it at us. We had zero power in our hand. Sometimes it's always best to not have the power in your hand, because then you could say, look, you can't blame. We have no blame in this. We have no dog in this fight. Wait a second. You see this? Wait a second. You see that? We've actually been given a cover, because again, it's hard for them to engage with someone that they believe that they've already conquered. But this is why we're just sheep. This is why the Most High is our Father. The Most High is our shepherd. Going back here, Jeremiah 31 and 12. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahuwah, for wheat and for wine and for oil and for the young of the flock and of the herd. And their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow anymore at all. Because why? Because here we're in sorrow. Here we're in pain. Here we're in affliction. And they know that. Now they're starting to realize that, oh yeah, we've treated them so bad. They weren't saying that 10 years ago. No, we're all good. Everybody's in America. Everybody's good. Now they're starting to realize it because why? Because they're feeling pain. Oh, I can only understand pain because I'm feeling pain. Okay. That's a very psychotic way to say it, psychopathic way to say it, but it's being said. The Most High is showing us, yeah, we're in a time where we are in anguish. Our people are mourning. But when we get redeemed, we're going to be as a watered garden. We're not going to have any sorrow anymore. Jeremiah 31 and 13. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together, for I will turn their mourning into joy and will comfort them and make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I will satiate the soul of the priests with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, saith Yahuwah. Thus saith Yahuwah, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children, because they were not. Thus saith Yahuwah, refrain thy voice from reaping, and thine eyes from fears, for thy work shall be rewarded, saith Yahuwah. And they shall come again from the land of their friends, from the land of their helpers, from the land of those that love them. It says it right there. And they shall come again from the land of the enemy. I didn't say it. The Most High said it. We need to unite. Why does the enemy want to unite with you? So they can destroy you. So they can overthrow you and continue to have power over you. And their hope is in thine end, saith Yahuwah, that thy children shall come again to their own border. I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself thus, thou hast chastised me, and I was chastised, as a bullock unaccustomed to the yoke. Turn thou me, and I shall be turned. For thou art Yahuwah my Elohim. Surely after that I was turned, I repented, and after that I was instructed. I smote upon my thigh, I was ashamed, yea, even confounded, because I did bear the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, saith Yahuwah. Set thee up, waymarks. Make thee high heap. Set thine heart toward the highway, even the way which thou wentest. Turn again, O virgin Israel. Turn again to these cities, to these thy cities. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahuwah hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, as yet they shall use this speech in the land of Judah and in the cities thereof, When I shall bring again their captivity. When I shall bring again their captivity. When I turn them around. When I bring back from their captivity. That's what they're mad about. We're being brought back. And it starts with the conditions of our heart. How can you burst the chains? Well, you have to spiritually break the chains. That then becomes emotionally and then mentally. Well, you all are American, aren't you? You all need to. We need you. We need you. We need you to fix this. We need you. We need you to work your magic. We need you. You've always been there to help us when we can't help ourselves. You've always been there. You've always, even the way that they ask it is in arrogance. It could be stated. Why would you want to ask somebody for help and you don't even bring a gift? Is that genuine or not? You know what that means? That actually means that there's no respect. Even in African culture, not just in African culture, this is also in European culture too. If you want somebody to help, you're going to bring a gift to them. Let me give you some money. Let me give you something here. Let me provide for you. Let me make provision. That's empty. That's very empty. And you know, the funny thing is that Iran has spotted how empty things are. They stated it. They said, why are we going to go to negotiations where if we're going to go to negotiations, they're going to backstab us anyway? We can't trust them. They have created that, not us. See, if Babylon wanted to be healed, then she first would have healed the incurable wound, which is us. She first would have then mended, which is us. Instead of taking billions of dollars to do all sorts of spectacles like a wrestling or, excuse me, the octagon for UFC fights, and now having concerts canceled for a MAGA rally on the 250th anniversary. No, they don't want that because They never wanted us to be here anyway. They wanted us to be here to labor, and then they wanted to do away with us. And that's documented history. That is the Death Bowl in Natchez, Mississippi, when they tried to gather 20,000 of us to die in the flooding on the banks of the Mississippi River. This is why they hate history. This is why they hate while we talk, while we walk, why we move. The hate is real. I know we all experience just a little bit of this. Every one of us. Whether you're on a platform or whether you're speaking out at work, they really hate the truth. I've already said it. I don't know how much time we have on our channels, on our platforms. Keep me up in prayer, family, because it is a blessing to come on these days. Don't think that it is a walk in the park. It's not a cakewalk. So I was going to get into a lot of the contemporary stuff, but I said, nah, we just need to go and get into this word because it's coming sooner. It's coming sooner. You have Kuwait getting hit by Iran. What they try to say are, what is it? Peace deals. Oh, it's almost coming. It's a look. We're gonna hear that for the next, honestly, next month and a half. That's their schedule. They don't have anything left. Look, I said this. We're now within a 5 to 6 week window. I didn't say it. That's what they're reporting on for the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship. You want to know how big that is? That will be. Well, don't do much. Don't say anything much. Look, we got all the nations here. We got people playing in the World Cup here. Don't do anything rash. We already have extra security because of the World Cup. Y'all see the calculus now? What an interesting time to be alive again. Does it hurt to look? We are in a time where we are crying out to the Most High on a daily basis. But I do have to say this: I'd rather cry out to the Most High. That's the best way to go. So again, we'll see what happens this week. Very interesting week. You already know how they try to do what they do. They try. So, with that said, family, I got to get up on out of here, get some things done. I'll probably be on between 6:30 and 7:30. It just depends. At my new summer hours. So again, I thank you for your prayers, your support. It really does do. It goes a long way. It truly does. So with that said, we will see then what happens, because we are definitely below a 12-hour news cycle. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.